Get ready for the next battle, ladies, gentlemen, Zaydems, and others in between. My name is SP Dark. We're coming at you live here from Dapple Productions to bring you Gamers for Giving 2026. And of course, this is too much for me to be handling all by my own, so I have a very good friend of mine joining me here today.
Hello, everybody. I am Cater. We are going to get right into our first match here. No time at all to talk, but we are going to be seeing, I believe, GDM versus Last Minute Heist here. Both of these approximately Looney Division 9 teams from what I can find. We're going to be starting off here, Tower Control Ship Shape Cargo Company. I'm having a little bit of deja vu because the event that I hosted just yesterday started off here. So it feels like we're doing this all over again. Now, I personally like this map mode a lot. I feel like we don't see it as often as other things. We've got some interesting weapons coming. That's the Inkbrush Nouveau out here on the side of Last Minute Heist, so we'll be seeing some ink mines come out, and then I do see the Notch Dapple Dualies and the Vanilla Dynamo coming out of GDM, so that's their cooler option there.
Yeah, a very interesting comp all around, but you know, what to expect really from an event like this. It's very much, I love seeing the kinds of things that come out here, and as we do see GDM take the first major push in their favor, really setting up themselves up well in mid, getting Last Minute Heist out. That first checkpoint's probably going to go out, and they've got too many issues here. The crab take is ready for Narco at the very least, so they can try and contest that at least a little bit, but the first checkpoint, most likely, it does go down here as they're now moving into that second checkpoint.
Yeah, this being one of those only 2 checkpoint maps, that second checkpoint is so important, even more so than it already is in a lot of those 3 checkpoint maps, because this a whole shot as the tower moves through court. There are no checkpoints. Looks like Last Minute Heist is starting to get a handle back on the tower, but GDM still pushing it forward, 38 and counting. Koopa for Lice going down there with a trade. Bats doing their best to clean up around and getting another trade there, so 2 down on both sides as Frida runs forward, takes the pick on Raphael there, and with that, Last Minute Heist is finally able to get their hands back on the tower. A lot of mid-control, the strikes helping to clear out this area, and Frida looking to build up another set, but we do have the Killer Whale coming out from GDM as well. As the counter hammer actually does get 1 pick, and we also have that crab at the ready. So with the cooler going out on tower, it is Last Minute Heist turn to make a push.
Yeah, a good push going to them as they do clean up the radiator of GDM right here. Now, first checkpoint down, heading to that second checkpoint. Triple injects coming down to clear the path for the tower. Getting a puck as well on top of that. That is a good momentum shift here in their favor. As Bats sitting under the ledge, trying to see who they can harass. Another lead has been swapped for Last Minute Heist as GDM is starting to stagger at least a little bit, but the hammer counter is crucial there to stop that momentum, stop that push. Second checkpoint's highly contested, but in a map like this, playing these plays right, you can absolutely just turn the dime and turn the ships back into your favor.
Yeah, huge plays for Mania coming out there. They, on the Dynamo, that hammer counter and another pick right after that, and the cooler, all very important pieces as GDM begins to make their way back into bid. Another pick coming out, though, from Last Minute Heist with those triple strikes. Counter strikes coming out from GDM on the field. Raphael managing to make their way onto the tower, but having to back up very quickly. The threat from Narco and Bats combined. Bats cornering Raphael there in court, going down to another swing for the Dynamo. That is the counter to the Inkbrush, pretty much. Narco winning the fight there. So Last Minute Heist looking good as we head into the last couple minutes of our match. A decent control of mid right here. Mania coming up to try and counter the crab, but it does not work. Bats doing some protection work, and just here is the counter, there is the pick. The just huge amount of ink that Mania puts out is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, no, Dynamo is always something to keep in mind, be wary of as pushes, as fights are being had here. But now, as GDM does push Last Minute Heist out with a 9-point differential, that lead could easily be swapped there if Last Minute Heist is not careful. Tactical paired with the ink strikes means that they are able to take space here as the tower is marching forward slowly, but the Dapple player is down as GDM loses a bit of the momentum. Bats going on the deep end here to try and cause mayhem on the tower, but it's not enough as the tower is still moving on. Narco now taking the tower to try and push GDM out, but back as best as they can, but they're not letting go at least a little bit. 1 down on each side, 2 down for GDM. Last Minute Heist playing every card they can to try and prevent this lead swap from happening, and GDM is inching close, but it's not enough. Last Minute Heist takes a stand and pushes the attack.
Huge crab from Narco right at the end of the push there. Just the amount of pressure. And now Bats coming out with the hammer and getting a pick to seal the deal right now. Of course, it is still anyone's game, but it is looking good for Last Minute Heist, putting up a solid defense there. The cooler comes out, and now, I mean, they say the best defense is a good offense, and that is what's happening here. Frida putting out the ink strikes to displace, forcing the members onto the left side here. Koopa for life going down, but able to get a trade. Narco is coming up here to continue defending the tower. Has to reckon with both Raphael and, going down to the shot there. Multiple picks could be. There's a lot of card attack. Is able to double team with Narco and take that pick on Koopa for life. And it looks like Last Minute Heist is coming to extend their lead at the end of this match here. Tenkian holding on to that tower all the way to 13, going down. Mania trying to get something done, rolling over Bats at the end there, but Frida is still here with Narco to continue getting another pick and holding on to that tower all the way to single digits, and the game ending right before that can be a knockout, but either way, dominant ending there from Last Minute Heist.
Yeah, Last Minute Heist did an extraordinarily well job standing their ground to keep GDM in check, not letting their mistakes get to the best of them, and being able to return that with a huge swing on their side to practically get a knockout there at the very end. Last Minute Heist did an extraordinarily well job there, and GDM, I saw a lot of potential, and I like a lot of the skirmishes they did had in that last game. So I'm very excited to see how things play out in the second game here.
Honestly, it really did feel like exactly like a Last Minute Heist. I'd say it was very even throughout most of the game. I mean, both of these teams had solid pushes on, but it was the defense, very smooth transition into that offense, and I really liked the way that they used the crab defending there. Looks like we are going to take a look at, there is that, this was after the lead swap. Oh, yeah, Mania getting the hammer cancel there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then another pick after, yeah. So that's a really good moment from GDM out there, just able to really turn this around. Here's Mania again. The Dynamo is a really good counter to Inkbrush just because of the huge area of effect that it puts out.
Yeah, big hitbox go burr, with
Pretty
animals
much,
swinging
yeah.
wildly. Inkbrush is hard to try and counteract that there, and I like a lot of what GDM is doing too as well, using those weapons to really play around and skirmish with Last Minute Heist. But it's unfortunate with Last Minute Heist, they're still using their own strengths to their own advantage to keep GDM down for the count for the majority of that game, especially towards the half end. It just, unfortunately, things kind of unraveled there. But as we head into game number 2, this mode we will be seeing next is Clamblitz Museum Don Foncino, which I think this could very well be a lot in favor with the brush player.
Yeah, definitely. If they're really going to have to keep a close eye on access, especially with that block shortcut that you can take up to the basket. Like, if they do not keep a close eye on that, that could become a problem very, very quickly. But I have faith in them that they'll be able to keep their wits about them.
Now, kick off here for the second game. We'll be seeing if there's any major changes here on either side. I do believe the NZAP is new this time around here, and the pencil, I want to say. I think there was
I believe Temkyun was on pencil beforehand, because I think that is their cooler option. I will say GDM now running a double cooler comp, so there's going to have to be a lot of communication the way those are staggered. They lose Raphael very early on. Koopa for life able to create a clam there, but getting cornered. Can they make it out? They're going to get pincered by Bats and unfortunately not make it out. So Last Minute Heist having a dominant opening here as Tenkyun already set up on that top mid area. Multiple picks going down on that right side there, and that first clam that was made so quickly expires. It is Last Minute Heist's turn to make a clam, tossing that up to Tenkyun, who looks like is going to take the block actually and go for that shortcut. Oh, failing the jump, but making it out with a little bit of health left.
Yeah, a close call there. Unfortunately, that attempt to get a jump going and does actually turn true as a player goes in from Last Minute Heist to go under the clam basket, allowing the brush to jump out to jump back in and get that first power climb in the game, which, not necessarily what would be a good push here, but to get some points on the board this early on is good to get their momentum going in their favor.
Yeah, both of these teams are coming out swinging. I feel like sometimes with these clan matches, it can feel like a really extended neutral state, but these teams have it out for each other. Narco with the crab tank onto Mania, going down to Azerty there, and he was going to come out, try rolling out on this side. take out Bats through the whales. There are a lot of clams that they can pick up here, so clam economy very much in favor of GDM right now, forming another power clam that is going to be tossed into mid. You see they have to worry about Tenkin here, set up on the last-minute heist plat. That is a lot of area control that they have. 2 power clams now on the side of GDM that are just being tossed around like hot potatoes. They're trying to build up to a push here, but they don't have any specials to back it up. I want to see a cooler or something come out at least.
Yeah, a bit of an extended stalemate, and Bats coming in to snuff out that push there from the crate, and now Last Minute Heights establishes their dominance, establishes their hold once again here in mid. And the blue is in flavor for mid right now as Last Minute Heights is trying to make sure they can play it still, play it steady, not wanting to overextend a little bit too much here to be able to punish GDM, who's on the incoming. Raphael going head-to-head with the crowd take, but unfortunately got shut down by Narco, who now with a player advantage on their side. Last Minute Heights looking to try to go for the second member here to try and get those extended points here for this incoming push, but Mania shuts it down. That Dynamo is a bit of a hard stuff to try and get around.
It is a massive wall that Last Minute Heist has found themselves slamming into multiple times, and Mania is a great line of defense, going to choosing to peek Tenkin there on the pencil. It ends unfortunately about as well as you'd expect. Oh, Raphael not quite making it alive, but I think they did pick up the cool, or so they will be back. Azurdi also finding themselves displaced, and I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern of staggering with the GDM here, in that they're trying to send their members in alone. They're dropping alone, and they don't have they're not able to contend with the sheer paint and area control that Last Minute Heist is putting out. Raphael again trying to poke at Tenku on the pencil, but it is just so difficult. We have only had one score as we head into the last minute and a half of our match. Tenkyun holding on to another power clam with Bats going up on that hammer and getting a pick. It looks like we might see another power or super jump in strategy. Bats does go down. Tenkyun though with the able to capitalize off the trade and get another power clam in. Azurdi here on a push of their own, unfortunately just a little bit too late and not able to hold their own ground. So despite the lack of clams going in, Heist with the dominant scoring here.
Yeah, no, things are looking really good for Last Minute Heights. Being able to just run in, run out, get one power clap in there means that they are at the lead right now. And GDM not being able to actually get any push going for them at all throughout the majority of this map means that Last Minute Heights now has put themselves into a relative checkmate scenario with how a lot of this match has been going so far. They could absolutely just wait it out here in mid, keep GDM in catch, keep them in place, and not just wait out the timer here and let this victory cruise themselves here. As now we do see GDM, the pressure trying to build up for themselves. They're trying to get a little bit desperate, trying to force themselves way in, but out of nowhere, Last Minute Heights breaks the backlines, comes in and gets another power clamp into the score, and this time being able to deposit even more clams.
Narco able to jump in and get that one and bringing the score down to 28. It is just Frida here, and so we're not going to see any more scores after that, but they are still here, still making their way towards the strikes, especially if they have that at the last minute. That could really help when GDM tries to do a push, but they could just get the picks as well. Koopa for life unfortunately dropping down into that. Azurdi has a power clam, so we are going to go into overtime, but they are 2 down right now and no cooler. Koopa for life picking up that second one, and so now we stand at 17 clams, but they are trapped on their plat right now. Frida lapping like a shark in the water there. Minya going down to a trade. There is more time, but it is only again these 2 members with the power clams. Bats is going to drive in, and unfortunately the stall has worked. No time for GDM to put that push together as Last Minute Heist takes our second game and I believe the set.
Yes, no, Last Minute Heights playing really well that game to just keep GDM in check, keep them in a constant stagger state to be able to just cruise themselves into victory there. It was a good showing on their end, and yeah, you are right. This is a best of 3 set, so Last Minute Heights going 2-0 against GDM, meaning they will be moving on to the next round of winners bracket, but GDM is not down just yet. They still have a losers bracket here to potentially make a miracle run down in the lower side of things, but good congratulations to Last Minute Heights for winning your first round.
Yes, indeed. It is a good start to the tournament, especially with it being double elimination. Like you said, our losing team is not completely out, but it is still nice. It makes it a lot easier to have that fall back into stay in the winner's side. Reminder to you all that because we are supporting Gamers Outreach here today at Gamers for Giving. I want to give a shout out to Nine Whole Grains for our first donation of $200. Nine is a great figure in this community and a wonderful caster. Pleasure to work with. So thank you so much for the donation. And I believe that our command is !donate in chat if you feel so inclined. We are going to take a short break as we set up our next round, so we will be right back. Stay tuned for more action. Hello, gamers, and welcome back to Gamers for Giving 2026. If you're just joining us, I'm Kato, joined here today by my lovely co-commentator, SPF Dark, and we are in our second round of winners.
Yeah, our second round. I'm very excited to see this one here, folks, as we're moving in forward. Unknown versus Eclipse, and of course, to kick things off, Clamblitz Scorch Gorge. A very interesting map mode, if I do say so myself. I really love how a lot of this map specifically calls for how integral your ramp control is.
Absolutely. That ramp is pretty much the ride or die of this map, unless you have somebody going a little sneaky on the grates. But that usually doesn't happen
Mhm.
because it's well grates and it's a lot slower to try and push over that side. So it is the ramp that matters. There's you can put a bubble there, you can send a reef slider through there. I feel like the size is perfect that so many specials can be so important,
Mhm.
even if it's splashdown. Like I know it's something that we don't see a lot, but the radius of those, even if the user goes down, is definitely enough to clear out that choke point enough for a ball to be thrown in.
Mhm. Yeah, no, specials are in. They're always integral, but I feel like they're even more integral here on this map because of the reasons you just listed here. And of course, a lot of the tempo as well revolves around this ramp control. It's something I always talk
Mhm.
about whenever I say Scorch Gorge specifically. Everything revolves around these ramps leading to up to the primary objectives here. So
Yeah.
as we're kicking up this set, as we're seeing this first game here, we're seeing exactly what's being brought to the table here from these players. An S-Class and a
Ooh.
Mini. That's not a pairing I see a lot too often, with a 96 count on the other side.
Yeah, I think that 96 gal is likely there for the ink vac, which I think you see that more often on Rainmaker, but I'm
Mhm.
not surprised to see it come out here because, like you said, that ramp control is so important, and having that vacuum come in behind a power clam carrier can be the difference between whether or not a push works out. Eclipse with a pretty good control of mid here. Yoshino gonna pop a vac very early on, actually, and ooh, using a combination of that to force out a jump from Cyan, who has to jump all the way back on that S-Blast there, forcing some close-up fights, getting the pick, but not before Unknown is able to get that first power clam in very early on.
Yeah, first clam in with this map specifically is actually kind of good, since a lot of this map can be a bit of a stalemate. So being able to get the first points on the board means that you have some extra leverage, some extra tempo in your favor in order to stop your enemy team to try to get force themselves into even the scoreboard here. And now, even though Unknown is down one player, we don't see too many specials online. We see the Booyah Bomb, the Ink Strike coming out here to try and disrupt Unknown at least a little bit. Getting an additional pick on top of that crab take is out for a little bit longer, so Eclipse has opportunity here to maybe get a push going. Famicom is starting to go well in their way, and with two additional picks on their side, they can definitely get a solid push going here, stacking the tactical as well.
Yeah, the cooler going to be very important, but Yoshino popping the ink vac defensively this time and launching that shot all the way at the pen, forcing them to move around at least. That seems to have killed the momentum of this push, at least for a second, but they go down to the pens. And so, with that, Eclipse going to take control. There's the bubble a little bit far back, but it doesn't seem to matter as the picks 2 down on Unknown is going to allow Eclipse to bring that in. And then oh my goodness, a far up position for the Pennier and able to follow it up with that incredible pick onto Yoshino. Still here underneath the basket. Doesn't have any clams, but it is okay because a teammate is going to come in and get some more and bringing that score down to 44. The Booyah here, the last member standing. Ganon going to be shredded into a wipeout, but 44 is a great place to be because, like you said, so much of this game can be you caught in a neutral, that having a lead like that is a very good situation to be in. Of course, with that wipeout, Unknown takes a lot of mid control here. You can see all of that green on the map and loading, setting up on top mid with that crab. Very important placement. Combination with that with the vac, I think we're going to see an immediate counter push here.
Yeah, a good counter push here to get in their way to try and even it out a little bit. The score's immediately swapping in place. He's taking down the 35 points remaining. They hit first. Eclipse hits back hard, but now Unknown swinging twice as hard, taking it down to 17 points remaining. Using the ink strike to keep their momentum going. Not wanting to let us go. They do see the path here to potentially get a knockout here, playing every card they can to desperately get those final clams in. But I don't think there's enough for them to be able to close out this game. And with 8 points remaining, Unknown puts himself in an extraordinarily well positioned here, but Eclipse is already looking to get another counter attack in.
Yeah, Eclipse is right here, throwing all of these clams to still a couple of being intercepted by a teammate, but it works out. We've got the bubble, we've got the strikes, we've got the cooler, 3 specials underneath here, another power clam going in to bring that to 32, but the vac comes out and there's no clams right now. The members of Eclipse having to go back and find them. The bubble goes down, the vac shot goes out and takes down Still, who was trying to put in more clams. One more goes in, but 32 is not enough to cross that barrier. Eclipse is going to have to find something else, but with the map control that they still have, it is going to take Unknown time to come back, and if Eclipse can continue at the pace that they have set for themselves in the last minute and 20 seconds of this game, it is not going to work though, with Loading getting a crucial double in the corner here and picking up these clams right as they're about to expire. It looks like Unknown is going to go for another push of their own.
Yeah, they see the tides are turning here as Unknown finds the opportunity here to get another push going to at least, at the very least, keep Eclipse locked in place, popping Ink back here to deliver the clams to victory here, potentially being able to close out the game if they could just squeeze in these fast few clams here. Eclipse rushing it to desperately stop it, but it's not enough. Unknown comes in and deposits the last clams they need to secure this first victory.
We were warning about stalemates on this, but I don't know if we saw a single second. This was back and forth as soon as one push was over. The second one had immediately begun. These teams have set a breakneck pace for this set.
Yeah, it's kind of a refresher when you sit and think about it, because as we said, Scorch Court, you often see teams just playing it slow, playing it steady, constantly finding out in mid, but the fact that it was back-to-back pushes, these teams knew exactly how to get this work with the map to their favor, to get so many pushes in at a time.
Look at this pick,
just,
like,
that
F had taken, and I completely understand as a backline myself, you know, the falling down, walking backwards off the ledge, but if they could have taken it, could you imagine how dominant that push possibly could have been? Like, that could have been incredible. And of course, Unknown swinging with just this really good push here, taking that all the way to 11-8. I mean, the Ink Vacs coming out of Yoshino were really, I think, the star of the special show here. We saw so many come out from both teams, especially that, I believe, what was it, Bubble Strikes Cooler combo that Eclipse popped. But in the end, I mean, the VAC is a very powerful special. It's been buffed a lot, you know, since its conception. And I think, I feel like I've seen a very similar pattern to Dapples, in which, because Rainmaker, a lot of teams like to change up their comp for Rainmaker just because it can play so differently than the other 3 modes, and so the pace can be so different. And so people would pull out Dapples as a cooler option, and then with the release of Urchin, people were like, wow, Dapples could really work here, and then now you see them in many more areas of play than just Rainmaker. I feel like we're seeing a similar thing with VAC happen right now. Like, it's known for being useful in Rainmaker for VAC cheese, right? But it works here too, and I'm getting less and less surprised to see it pull out more and more often.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I've always been a VAC believer since day one. I knew it needed a little bit more to actually get some actual viability to it, and it's been slowly getting buffed. And now we're in a position where, like, yeah, VAC can be an actual special to be able to help push through a lot of these maybe awkward scenarios here. So I don't think we'll see it coming back here on Mahi's zone specifically, but I would love to see it come back at the very least, because I just love Ink vacuums. It
is a lot of fun. Well, yes. It looks like you will get your wish as we're going for a... Oh my goodness, this comp is incredible. We've got the Leader Scope coming out with Respawn Punisher that Unknown is pulling out here, and then a double Gal comp, and to finish it off, a custom blaster. So, all right. We're coming out swinging. We're coming out swinging here with an immediate wipeout. Unknown has just shown... And they're right here. I mean, that rail is purple, for goodness sake. Everything everywhere is the territory of Unknown right now as the whales come out. Eclipse getting footing, taking down 2 members while in the 52 and Gal, and getting those strikes out. But we did see them get all the way to 59. And, okay, there we go. There's the zone neutralization. So, I mean, almost immediately, we're already seeing the full potential of Mahi as the water has dropped since we got past that 61 benchmark. I mean, I said breakneck pace, and I feel like these teams are hearing me trying to prove me right.
Yeah, no, I mean, with the comp that Unknown has right now, you want to be aggressive as you can. You don't have a lot of paint to clearly play around with, so it's crucial that you get in these positions to be as aggressive as you can to keep Eclipse in a staggered state, to keep Eclipse in a down state, you know? And right now, we're seeing it here. Unknown's actually struggling a little bit to actually approach Eclipse due to how much more painting power Eclipse has over Unknown. And 2 players down, once again, from Unknown, a lot of their power is out for the count. And we saw it, amazing opening on their side, but ever since they lost their first initial pushes from that initial hold, they're just kind of spiraling out of control now, and Eclipse has seized this kill here. They can absolutely just take this 100-0 in their favor.
We could, but the bubble has expired, and we've got members, and the splashdown goes out, so it is not 100-0, but it feels very close. Yoshino popping another one of those ink facts, a massive shot, forcing the members to change positions. That many especially could see Super Avi on the grates up there. Meanwhile, Still is poking, trying to get some place, and Yoshino is painting for another back, I suppose. Ooh, the Booyah Bomb coming out here, cornering them, but they just managed to survive there. The Ink Strike's coming out as well, and that is zone flipping. We have the bubble and the cooler out on the side of Eclipse, and this is a great position for them to be in. Backshot coming out here on the left side. And we see the gals pushing up, pushing the mini back here. Can they get the pick on the Pezzle? Yes, very quickly. They go down, and that makes 3 down, with the Blaster being the only one. Make that a wipeout in favor of Eclipse here. And this is a very similar position that we saw at right after that explosive opening push from Unknown, where, like you said, the painting power that Eclipse has is shutting down Unknown.
Yeah, no, I mean, Eclipse knows the advantage they have here. They're playing it slow, they're playing it steady. They don't need to actively constantly engage Unknown. Just let Unknown drop down to them and punish the drops here as best they can here. And we're already in a potential knockout scenario here. Penalty points are gone, only 2 ticks remaining on the zone. Unknown not being able to be there in time means that Eclipse takes this set to a 1-1, and we will be seeing a game 3 here.
You can see all that purple around at the very end. I believe it was the 52 gal actually got a double kill, but the time that it took, unfortunately, meant that the zone ticked down before they could actually neutralize it. So very unfortunate. Sometimes you have to pick your battles. A fist bump to seal the deal, and like you said, we are going to our game 3. Rainmaker on Museum de Foncino.
I mean, we saw the VAC come in last time. The VAC made sense in the first game. Surely the VAC comes in again here for Rainmaker out of all the zones.
We saw the VAC come back on Mahi zones, and I don't think that's something that most people would take a guess. Oh, we're right into it. Okay. Oh no, we're not. Sorry.
No.
I forgot. Look, I forgot we have replays. Okay, and so my brain will immediately go, "Oh no, another game." So this is the immediate wipeout. I guess we're right into it. If you see the beginning of this match, that was the explosive first push, and then here's the recovery. You can see, especially from that mini splatling, the huge amount of paint shutting out loading, unfortunately meaning that they couldn't jump back, and just how quickly this match flipped in the first minute, where we saw dominance from both teams.
Yeah, I mean, with Unknown and what they brought to the table, that opening was book to what they exactly needed to do to service the early lead there. The issue then becomes that because Eclipse has so much more painting power than Unknown, is that you got to be very mindful of your positioning, how you hold, where you hold against Eclipse. Because you lose 2 players down, you suddenly lose a majority of your slow painters, meaning that you lose a lot of ground here. So you got to be very mindful of that, no matter where you are in this set, no matter where you are in this game here. And sure, we are on Rainmaker Museum of Foncino, where painting isn't necessarily the prime objective here, but if they still keep a similar comp style here, we could very well see Unknown struggle yet again.
All right, well, looking at that, we've got to switch to the Zinc mini splatling, so that is Mist and Bubble. I think that Mist could really come in handy, stopping those Rainmaker pushes here. We already have, actually, the gal going for another very aggressive opening. You can see how far up they were when they went down, and 2 down on the side of Unknown. I think Eclipse were really expecting the opening at this point, and so knew to brace themselves. They get up to 84 before going down, but still still present, and the combination of them and the pencil popping the cooler there, a little selfish, but they were able to get it before they. Oh, actually, no, they weren't able to pick it up before they get it. So unfortunate. Ooh, quick flicks from loading coming out here, looking for a second. Yeah, here is the pencil in question. That was a really smooth pick. Props to these players. Every time I watch One Shot Charger gameplay, it feels so satisfying.
I know Chargers have their own hone to the craft, so it's very much always an amazing thing this year. But Tillboy going in on deep and using the splash on to try and create some sort of pressure on the front lines, but Eclipse is a bit staggered up now because of it. You know, we do see the vac coming out, which I don't think you really needed to pop back there. You already saw 3 players down. You knew that the last 4th player was on the right-hand side. I don't think it's been too safe on that end. So now, because now you don't have the vac on the incoming, you're still on the right-hand side, causing some havoc there. And you do get that first checkpoint down, but that first checkpoint is kind of easy to take at the very least, so it's not necessarily a huge swing for Eclipse right now.
Well, speaking of Eclipse, they are able to prevent the checkpoint from getting popped here, but we'll see how Tilboy. Oh, falling down after the vac though. Yoshino doing everything they can to keep the vac on top of their teammate, but having to spend the vac shot here and going down, or not going down, able to make it out, but the push does stop there. Rainmaker getting picked up by Eclipse. Oh, immediately going down to a nice shot from loading. He is really thriving here.
Yeah, good shots from that E-Leader loading to keep Eclipse in check. They do have the advantage right now. They do have the lead right now, but it's hanging by a thread. There's still so much green in the middle of this field here that Eclipse can absolutely, once they take a pick or two, they can absolutely run away with keeping Unknown in check. But it's Unknown who's getting these picks in their favor. Unfortunately, though, the Rainmaker does reset, so they do lose a little bit of time, lose a little bit of pressure here as they're trying to get their next incoming push here to try and extend the lead as best they can. The vac comes in though to allow loading just to waltz up, to extend the lead even further and keep the momentum going.
Ooh, and with the vac shot at the end, that cleared out so much space that I almost wonder if they maybe wanted to wait until to time with the explosion. But nevertheless, they got themselves up to a really nice 24, and we still have presence up here. I think this is a bit of a do they know moment, which yes, they do. No sneaky plays here. Oh, maybe there are some sneaky plays. Very quickly getting shut down by a direct from Cyan there. But for a second, I was wondering if we were going to see something very cheesy from Unknown here. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time on Museum. Another shot from loading, shutting down the momentum, meaning that that bubble, unfortunately, does not rise up to its full potential. It does allow Omni to get out of that situation and have some ramp presence, so it is not wasted, but it is very difficult to make a push when you constantly have that leader watching you. Oh!
I mean, loading is putting in a lot of work here to keep this backline, be this anchor that Unknown needs against the constant painting pressure that Eclipse can put out. And it's exactly the style you want to play here. You have your backline, keeping your front line to be those spaces between the remainder of enemy teams to make sure you can actually get the picks you need to keep up with the painting power, not via out-painting your enemy team, but being up in players constantly. And 2 players down here means that Unknown has the opportunity here to, again, to either pick up the Rainmaker to keep this momentum going in favor, or just kind of stall it out here in mid as we head into the final 45 seconds of this game. About 2 players down for Unknown. Eclipse has the opportunity here to potentially make it their turn for the first time since, I believe, the beginning of this game.
We see the Booyah coming out, displacing members, but the Rainmaker still hasn't been picked up. The bubble is out now, but again, the Rainmaker still sitting in mid, finally getting picked up. I think they might have been waiting for that top mid, and still able to make it through that first checkpoint. These strikes now coming out to clear the area improvement for Vac as well, but the Vac shot and the Wavebreaker are out, and that takes down Super Omni, so they lose their main painter here. Oh, and still going down Cyan.
Yeah.
It is not quite enough, and so Unknown is going to take that with loading. A shot for the road as they find themselves at victory for the set.
Yeah, I mean, learning from the massive defeat that was the second game, Unknown really pulled it together really fast in this set against Eclipse to recognize what Eclipse was abusing against them, against their playstyle, against their comp, to really make sure that they aren't as abusable this time around. And it really showed off with this a more dominant showing here with this game number 3, meaning that Unknown will be moving on to winners semifinals, while Eclipse will unfortunately be knocked down to losers bracket.
I mean, this is exactly what I like to see. Over the course of 3 games, you really see the growth in both these teams, with Eclipse figuring out what worked, the breakneck playstyle that the pace was set, and continuing that pace into the opening of that, and pretty much the entirety, really, or no, not the opening, but yes. And then, bracing for that opening once you realize, okay, this is the tone that the other team has set. We can know what to expect so we don't immediately get wiped in the first 30 seconds. It's a sign of real adaptability and teamwork that's so important for teams to have.
Yeah, no, a good job for Unknown for doing what you did here. And I do believe we'll be moving on here shortly to our next game after a quick break. But before we do head to that, we did get another donation coming through. Shout out to Sam Purvis for $25 for the campaign here. For those who don't know as well, Sam is one of my friends, as well as Lovely TLs for Don't Flounder the Function. So I see you, buddy.
Yeah. Sam did also attach a little message. All gamers should give money to the campaign. So you heard him. Go donate.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We lost Cater.
No!
Oh. There we go. Trying to silence you.
They're trying to silence me, but I can silence myself. We're headed to break so we can set up. So be quiet for just a second. We'll be right back.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, in between. My name is Dark. I'm here with Cater, and before we head into winners bracket round 3, we do have a bit of an update for the stream. An alert donation match from Squidado here for the next $250 that are donated. That will be matched here from Squidado here. So if you want to donate, get more money into this good cause here, go and do it now before that offer expires.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. The next $250 are going to have double the impact because of the matching. So this now is your real chance to make a difference. As a reminder, Game is Forgiving is supporting gamers outreach here. They are a wonderful organization with a wonderful mission. So that's why we're here today, to give them some support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
now, like you said, we're heading into our winners round 3 match with some nice European teams here. Blank Z versus, I'm not European, so I'm not familiar. Do you say the letters individually, or is it Gig?
You feel like with how much I've been watching, how much I've been around, I should know this as well, but I don't know either, so I'm just going with Blanks as a blanket statement.
No, I know Blank Z. I meant, like, is it GIG or Gig?
Oh. I'm saying GIG. That's what I would say.
Okay, well, I see Torrance Hydra, so that's more important to me. I absolutely love Torrance Hydra, and I'm very happy that Blakesy has decided to pull it out here. We also see the Vanilla Dually Squelchers. Like, that is, everybody make a wish, because that's not something you see every day.
Yeah, talk about a blast from a blast. The Dual Sculptures coming out in this day and age is something to behold here. I mean, GIG already playing a very skirmish-heavy fight here, just all over the map, dancing off Blanks to get this first momentum in their favor here, moving in with Tactical as well to really get this first push going here as Blanks is on the incoming.
Push movement and those strikes at the ready, combined with the Blaster also having the Bubbler, going to make a great first push here. We're up to this first checkpoint, and it looks like it's going to fall pretty quickly here. We do see 2 members go down. The Pencil does have the Cooler, going to pop it on the backlines there for their team. Push does get stopped at 71, so not too much damage done, just right up to that first checkpoint. Having to deal, Blanksy dealing with the shot there, and Zane actually choosing to go with a little bit more of an aggressive position to pincer with their teammates, forcing a jump out, and it is now Blanksy's position turn to be on that first checkpoint, with the Hydra basically turning the tower into a mobile turret. The strikes, though, 3 of them staggered, one after the other. You can see the Hydra trying to go on and failing. Everything is getting thrown at that tower right now with the addition of the Zuka shot. And so finally they go down. We see the splashdown go off. Ooh, but multiple picks coming out, and GIG only having the Pencil left. So despite all of that getting thrown at the tower, Multi is just going to hop right back on as that support player, and we are up to our second checkpoint.
Yeah, second checkpoint here is crucial on this stage, specifically due to the fact that it's where things can really start spiraling out of control here. With it now breaking, Blanks is on the rampage here to get this game knocked out as soon as possible. Habuna on the tower, trying their best to beat the anchor to get this tower keep moving. And we do see players down on Blanks, and unfortunately the tower is halted to a stop right now. But Gig is now looking to try and turn the tides, getting the Blanks picked off one by one to finally get them fleshed out properly here, so they can get their first push going here again since the beginning of the game.
Blanks so close, but no dice, as Gig manages to stop them right before they get past that third checkpoint. And now that tower is making its way back to mid. Anger here with the 2-3 Zuka shots, not finding anything, but does manage to clear out that right alley for a time. So managing to roll away, only prolonging the inevitable, as again the shot in a very aggressive position with those strikes at the ready. Gig another push of their own, trying to make it farther than they did before. With that going through the penalty, they're on that first checkpoint, but the bombs from Zane making this more difficult.
Yeah, good bomb span here from Blanks does not turn out that well, as they were unfortunately able to still push through that first checkpoint. Ink Strides here to clear the corner, the elbow here, so they can get to this second checkpoint without too many issues here. Gig now on the wind up here to potentially be able to match this lead from Blanks on their push here. Zane on the back end to try and pull some attention away from the tower, and does succeed in doing so, but at the cost of their own lives. And now Blanks is still at a player disadvantage here. Anger on top of this tower here with the tent to try and shield, to try and protect from this push as they still going in their favor. Ink strikes being forced to use to just maintain the status quo. Specials are being used left and right to keep this push going for Gig, and Blanks is unfortunately still losing one by one, but they still make a stand.
Multi here, the last line of defense right now, going and somehow getting that pick and jumping back the booyah in celebration as the tower again doesn't get past that second checkpoint. That was a miracle pick that we saw with, I believe, the fall off from the zap there. So that the tower slowly resets its way back to mid as Blanks victoriously makes their way all the way back. You can see the Hydra getting a lot of that mid control. Anger here is trying to get something done, but has been spotted. And the area, I think they're just like choosing to ignore Anger there on the tent, which might be a little bit of a deadly decision as that's 2 down the side of Blanks. Gig, this is their last shot pretty much. Multi is still there, but gets called out. Anger with the Zuka and getting the pick on the Hydra, who was caught out alone. So the pen goes down, but 2 down. Anger alone, 3 down for Gig, and our last player forced to back up off the tower.
I mean, what can be said from that hold from Blanks at the very end? They're throwing every bit, every ounce, every card they had to keep Gig in check, to keep that second checkpoint alive. It really was worth it in the end. Even though it got really messy in the middle of all that chaos there, they still came out on top here. And I gotta say, Gig did an extraordinary job to fight against Blanks to try and push past it, but the pressure, the onslaught from Blanks was just not enough.
Look at that, the matching emotes. Man, that miracle pick from the end zap, very, very impressive. I think that match could have gone very differently if that did not go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was very much a pleasure to watch everything happen and everything unfold here from this first game here. But no, as we did get a brief preview there, we are moving from a best of 3 to a best of 5. So there's a few more games to be played here to try and really get that win over the other team here as we move on forward deeper into this bracket. But as we are waiting for this next game to come through here, a new set of donations, a few set of donations actually came through here in the midst of that chaos here. We have Ruvik here with 25, Pixel with 25, and Nito with a 10. Nito being the other commentator over on IPL side, which I find kind of funny to do that while you're on the mic.
Yeah, Nito specifically saying, "Don't tell anyone I'm donating while casting." Well, I'm sorry, Nito, but we're telling on you. We're telling our stream. I'm sure that you didn't let this detract from your casting at all, but it is very funny to multitask. So thank you for the work that our friends over at IPL are doing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, donating live is on the mic is actually kind of crazy. But you know what?
Awesome.
More power to Nito for doing that. But no, as we look back to our second game here, you do see we're moving into Clam Blitz Umami Ruins, which I like to think Clam Umami Ruins is just a different take on Scorch Gorge.
You know what? You're right for that. I don't know if I've ever thought about it that way, but you're very right for that. When I say Umami, I think zones, so I feel like I don't really think about how Clan Blitz works on there very often, but you're right, It is all about that ramp leading up. I would say it's not exactly the same as it feels a little more open than Scorch somehow on your way up. Definitely isn't, but it feels a little less like a very obvious choke point that you have.
Yeah, and I think it probably helps with the fact that as the defender here in that scenario, you do have extra options to jump around to avoid the ramp. And you do as well in Scorch Gorge, but it's a little more smoother on this game here specifically. But no, on the incoming, Blake's pulling out the double dueling action there on their side. I was trying to see exactly what Gig was bringing out here, trying to figure out what some talk was here, but the double dueling took it away.
Yeah, can we talk about the rest of that comp too? Double dually, vanilla Octobrush, heavy edit Splatling. I feel like Hedit has really fallen off of the spotlight, especially at a higher level of play. But Blanks is going to bring it in. Explosive start as Hubna able to immediately get that first pick in here. And the Vanilla Octobrush, I have a huge amount of faith in this weapon, especially with the Zip Caster. That can be very important here. Finding a trade there, unfortunately going down with the Zip, but I have faith that they'll be back quite shortly. And yeah, that double dually action, one pair of end parries, one pair of regular dualies, seeing the crab come out here. Hubna already with another power clam. Z++ having the power clam on the side of Gig on that pencil, popping the cooler on the right-hand side of the match there. So one clam on both sides, one down on both sides. Anger on the tent, coming up through one of the halves of Umami here, and able to get the pick on the dualies as well. They're just soloing this. Oh my goodness, Anger, do you have any fear or whatever, or is it just rage? And they get another pick, and I think we might be seeing a jump in. I feel like I can probably hear the call-outs of Anger saying like, jump to me, or we might just go about this the old-fashioned way. Anger caught without shield there, finally going down. We have the vac coming out, but unfortunately, wrong way as they are getting threatened, and that is a wipeout in favor of Blanks. So despite all of that, fortunately, no clams, no dice.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, that was a push for Gig to actually be able to score some points here, but unfortunately for them, Zane was just in the backline, terrorizing literally the remainder of the other team while Anger was trying to make this push happen here. And now, as Blanks was able to successfully defend and retake mid here, we're seeing Gig struggle to actually take some pressure, some powers here, but on the back end, just jumping in from behind, Blanks gets the next power gun into the clan basket, pulling some tension away from Gig, buying himself some more time, as Gig is now trying to get this ready on the incoming push here to potentially get a counter push going, counter score going on their end, but no, Blanks is already ready to meet them on the incoming.
What's funny is Blanks seems to be content with getting those jumps in, getting the clans in, and then falling back. So they don't get the follow-up necessarily, but they also don't give up the mid and the control that they have, making it a lot more difficult for Blanks to start.
Oh boy.
Coming out quite in time to prevent the second death. The barrier getting broken again. Here's another power clam jumping in, but it goes into the pit instead and does not go in. So for all the clans that have gone down, we haven't even passed the 60 benchmark on the side of Blanks. Of course, it's out as the defense that they've managed to be able to keep a hold of means that Gig hasn't gotten in a clan yet, but that seems like it could change very soon with that nice splashdown pick from Z++. Anger with a whole 6 clans and the Trizuka at the ready.
Yeah, and those clusters are on the rise for Gig, but just get shot down immediately from Blanks here. Getting that push just completely dissolved by Blanks as he's holding up this momentum, holding up this pressure. And now with the crowd with a few clams on their side, they could actually do what they've been doing so far and just throw one clam in, back out, wait for the re-engage from Gig here. But now Inkback being forced out here to try and keep Blanks in place. We see Multi on the back end just sneaking past the crack, trying to get in here. Look, somehow jumping to themselves. There's just so much going on right now.
Yeah, I think they tried to jump in, maybe missed inputted and jumped to themselves instead. Finally, we are no longer at a multiplier of 10 as some small clams have gone in for Blanks. Ooh, Multi dodging and doing everything they can going down, but 24 remaining for Blanks as we head into our last minute here. Gig has a high bar to clear. They have a vac, they have a cooler, they have tools behind them, the clams, the power clams. Anger here. Oh, the vac comes out. We have the Trizuka as well. Again, so much chaos. Finds Zane. One clam goes in, but one member goes down. The vac shot comes out. 5 clams going in, but Habna is threatening. Goes down, though, so we'll have to see. The power clam gets picked up, and it is going to get jumped in. Are they going to be able to throw it in? They make it in, but 48 is still not enough for the bar to be cleared. So in these last 15 seconds, it is up to Gig to create another clam, which they have done, and now use overtime to its fullest.
Yeah, now an overtime scenario is very much do or die for a Gig here. Blanks has been pretty much in the driver's seat for the majority of this game here, and now even though they're 2 players down, specifically the 2 dualies down, Gigs might have an opportunity here to try and force their hand, force their way to get an overtime victory here, but Habuna here getting the pick, being the anchor that Blanks needs to try and stop this incoming push here, means that the timer is slowly ticking down. Gig has one last opportunity here to try to get that power climb to the clan basket, but it's not enough. Blanks takes their stand, being a bastion of absolute defense, and stops that overtime victory from being a possibility.
Oh man, all the pencil. I believe, yeah, that's Zekrom almost getting there at the end, but unfortunately, it's really difficult to get to that basket when you have 3 players chasing you down. So that is going to be Blanks taking our second match, meaning that we are at match point for them here at our third game, Splat Zones on Robo Ramen. You know, for how ubiquitous this map mode combination felt earlier on in this game's the competitive life cycle of this game, I feel like we just don't see it or hear about it as often. Is that just me?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the not necessarily struggles, but some of the topics for it comes from the fact that it's still technically a newer map, and people are more comfortable with the maps they already know and love at this point. That it's kind of harder to properly reason playing something newer without just going something with you're more comfortable with. At least that's my line of thought. I don't know the exact reason of it. I'm a commentator. I'll play the game like that. So.
So true, so true. It's like, again, yeah, I'm also a commentator, though I do some collegiate competitive play. I am not really in the competitive scene at large, so maybe there's a lot more ramen than I'm aware of. I feel in my bias sample, I hear a little bit less about it, but that could just be me. Anyway, we're watching the jump to self. Don't worry, I feel this. I've been in the same position where I was playing heavy edit, and I was trying to push, and I jumped to myself on Riptide stream. So that was it's a clip of, actually it might not have been clans, but I'm pretty sure it was a Mahi game where I jumped to myself, stood there for 2 seconds, and then finally got the correct input to jump back to spawn. It was very funny. We're gonna get right into our match though. Looks like we're keeping that double dualies, but we're swapping back to the vanilla dualie squelchers here. So Blanks found their gimmick and they are comfortable in it.
I mean,
look at that circle of perfect paint from the edit. I feel you. That is exactly how it feels when you're trying to get cooler at the very beginning of the match. I see you.
I mean, heavy edit doing heavy edit things here as Gig does take the first zone under their control here. Blanks being forced back at least a little bit tactical is online for them, so they have the opportunity here to potentially push this momentum here to try and get a few picks in their favor, but it's not enough as Gig just keeps being this wall of just threat and pressure that keeps pushing Blanks back bit by bit.
The Zipcaster recall from Benny there, unfortunately going down, and Soul World finding a second. They are in a great position here as that back and the bubble comes out. Talk about a choke point. This is the other. I feel like we've a really recurring theme of ramp choke points here, as that area is so important on Ramen. Blanks is doing everything they can to fight out of it, but Betty and Multi being the only one alive on the slightly short-range weapons. Multi surviving, but having the Crab, but Crab cannot paint zone on its own. They do have teammate support from Zane here. Together, perhaps they can neutralize and recap. So we do see a very quick resurgence of paint there from Blanks, buying them some time, specifically 60 penalty points amount of time, which is quite a lot. Zipcaster at the ready. They're going to want some other support with it, though. They don't want to zip directly into this cluster of pick-hungry Gig players.
Yeah, Zipcaster is ripped off nonetheless. Blanks trying to push in with that momentum there, with that distraction, to be able to get any picks they can to disrupt the flow, disrupt the line of Gig, but it's still not enough. The crowd take was also committed here, but not much was gained from it, as Blanks here now trying to play a little bit more desperately to try and flip whatever they can in their advantage, because they're slowly running out of time. Down one by one, Blanks goes, and Gig is already done with their penalty with 10 ticks remaining on the zone. I don't think they're going to be able to come back in time to be able to contest the zone, as 2 players go down, make that 3. Yeah, Gig just comes in and just really flipping the script this round and holding a dominant zone for almost the majority of this game.
Yeah, this feels like a completely different team we saw from that last game. Gig really in their element here, figuring out what works for them. I think they've adjusted to the double dually and have figured out how to counter that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's a lot to really try and leverage in your favor with double dueling to begin with.
Fair enough.
These players are better than me, so what do I know exactly, right? But no, I do think you're right on the fact that Gig actually found their footing here with this next game to play around the double dueling, to really try and abuse the weaknesses from Blanks that they've shown over these past 3 games, to really try and swing things back in their favor. And it showed. They did the work, to really put it in this time around.
Yeah, I want to shout out our next set of donations as well. $5 from Anonymous, thank you so much, as well as $25 from Pat J with a message. Let's go, gamers! Thank you so much, Pat. For those of y'all that don't know, Pat is a familiar is an understatement, I would say, face around here at Dapple Productions. I swear, every time I look in this server, it's Pat picking up another 2 or 3 commentary blocks. It's like, oh, can we do Triton? I got it. Oh, can we do, paddling? Oh, I got it. I've been on, I feel like, more blocks with them than any other caster just because of the frequency that they pick up blocks with. So yeah, thank you so much, Pat, for the support. A reminder that we are still on our donation match. The $250 after that donation will be matched, so your contribution has double the impact.
Yeah, no, so get your donations now while that donation match is still live. If I could do some quick math real quick, this may not be a good thing for my end, so be warned here. I think we're at, that's 25, 50, 75, 95 of the 250 right now. So
we got plenty of time then.
Yeah, nowhere near the absolute limit of that. So donate what you can to try and get the full value of that match. But no, moving into game number 4 with Gig versus Blanks, we will be going back to Scorch Gorge, but this time around, it's Rainmaker.
We're heading back to the end parry dualies from Zane here. Everything else, I believe, is staying the same. So these teams know what to expect from each other at this point. It is going to be Blanks with the immediate first pop. Look at the speed at which they have rolled out, especially compared to Gig here. Already, I think the point sensors are really going to come in handy for Gig there, as they can constantly keep track on where these dually players are at. We are taking, and the Octobrush as well, all important members to keep track of. Still though, Gig going to make that 3 down, with Zekrom having to back up a little bit here, waiting for the respawns. That cooler coming very much in handy, as Blanks determining whether or not it is time for them to make a push or not. We do have the Zipcaster at the ready, as well as the Crab. Both of those, especially the Crab here. Oh, but the Vac is going to directly counter and just eat every single Crab shot.
Yeah, a good use to truly shut down that Crab there, as for Blanks is still struggling to get some footing here, but as I say, that 3 go down for Gig as they get the Rainmaker. Unfortunately, going down to a 1-for-1 trade there with Havana there, and now they're forced to slow down at least a little bit. What could have been a very devastating push for Blanks turns out to just be not much of anything, as Gig was able to hold the ground here. And now we do see Soul World here with the Splatoon to try and create some space, pushing Multi back at least a little bit. The 10th Umbrella as well, creating some more space. The Multi stands their ground, goes down for the 1-for-1 trade, but Gig still is able to pick up this Rainmaker and at least get the lead and potentially get that Rainmaker dunked, but no, it's shut down.
Going just out of the range of the Vac, so unfortunately not able to keep that working. The Vac shot goes off. We do have the cooler coming out for Blanks, as they are ready to keep up their defense here. We still do have members of Gig really doing their best. Ooh, just avoiding that suction bomb there. Pick up the Rainmaker. Gig loses their blaster, unfortunately, but with the help of Anger's Tent Shield, they are able to get the pick on Multi and clear that checkpoint. That they do lose 2 of their players here. Octobrush looking for another thing. Oh, does not get the jump out. Actually goes down to the custom blaster AoE. Anger on that tent going down. Soul World is just chilling, I guess, deciding to finally make their way back to the rest of their teammates. So it is now Blanks with the Rainmaker, and it is their turn to make a push. Woo!
Their turn to get a push. Getting Soul World out is the good first step to really try and get this Rainmaker to the pedestal here. And now Hubana slows down at least a little bit to allow their team to catch up, to create the space they need to be able to break through this wall from Gig. And they do create some disruption here on the front line. The E-Leader is watching, not the E-Leader, the Pencil is watching on the side here and shuts down Hubana with the Rainmaker. And now it's Gig's turn yet again as they rush in to pick up the Rainmaker and push Blanks back as far as they can.
Oh, that back shot was rough again. Another case of what could have been, I think, a very, very strong push, getting shut down a lot earlier. Soul World looking at the great side here. I think maybe saying, do I want to go out there? But deciding to stick with their team. Unfortunately, going down, 1 down on both sides. The Rainmaker claiming another multi with the Crab close to ready. We'll see if they decide to pop it here. Going all the way back around, actually, to threaten this back. Does not get it, though, and that Rainmaker continues forward. Now at 55 with 3, making a delayed wipe on the side of Blanks with the Zuka shot arcing forward, so they're going to take this down to 40, and now it is another ramp choke point, but they barely make it look like a choke point at all. They zoom up to 11. They get the splash down and the pick off. Anger is still here with the tent shield, opting to back off. Zekrom is here as well in a great position. It is going to be very difficult to dislodge them from here, but a Zipcaster will do the trick.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much Blanks throwing everything they can to stay alive a little bit longer here. The weapon lineup that Gig brought to this game just really complements what this map requires you to have. You have the 10 shield, you have the ink back to be able to make these huge pushes on their side. And even though Blanks was looking good here to get their side of the map recolored, recontested, and retaken to their favor, Blanks, unfortunately, is still losing out this fight. Gig just being able to uphold this pressure so immensely, so dominantly, that Blanks is starting to really struggle here.
Yeah, it's just so difficult, especially with the constant pressure from the blaster and the tent. I feel like they have not been able to get them out. Anger finally going down here, but Soul World is still here in a huge problem with those splashdowns. They're gone now, but time is running out for Blanks to make a move. Finally, they have presence in mid here with 2 going down, and that pick onto the Rainmaker. So this is it. They're one shot. We are going to have the Cooler go out. Very nice there, and we will see how overtime goes. 1 going down, 2 going down, and Multi all the way far back on that crab, leaving the Rainmaker really open and vulnerable here, going down on the crab, and Soul World is going in for the kill. Delayed it. Oh, Soul World goes down, actually, and so we still have a little bit more time as they are still alive. You see Betty here, Multi, I think, going up for another crab probably here on the grades, or no, just trying to fully strong arm it on the grades, and Zekrom does go down. The Zipcaster goes out, but goes down. Soul World closing in for the kill, gets Zane. Multi is coming in again, trying to body block. They're still alive!
They're still alive!
Still alive! Managing to back up again. Benji going down, Zane going down, gets the pick in the jump, but they are so far back in this Rainmaker-only zone. You know they are running out of time. Zekrom doing the back shot, comes out, just lasering onto Hobna. Soul World still again, does not get the pick again. I'm still alive. 3, 2, 1. Jumping off to accept their fate. But never have I seen a Rainmaker survive for the full 60 seconds. Well, it wasn't a full 60 seconds because they were in a Rainmaker free zone, but full 60 ticks of the timer.
Oh, man. I'm at shock at that. You're right. I've never seen that happen on my side. And Blanks was trying so desperately to make that overtime victory a reality, but the pressure, the prowess from Gig just proved to be too much at the end of the day, and being forced to just take it out on your own terms, jogging the Rainmaker over the side of the map because you knew there's nothing more you can do. You can't. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've legitimately never seen that before. I mean, there's Gig running up the ramp, taking it to 11 in a really nice place. The splashdown going off was also great. If they had stayed alive just a little bit longer, I think having Anger's tent shield again would have really helped. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get this off. But look at this Rainmaker survivability. You see the Octobrush go down to the zip. You see Zane here, and Soul World goes down, right? Multi also goes down, and you would think now they go down, but somehow they go down, able to push themselves into the pit. Unfortunately, this just makes the timer tick faster. But like, how? I've never seen such a case of how did you live that before.
It's very much.
Gig may have won that match, but I feel like Blanks won that overtime.
Oh man, really using the Rainmaker to the limit now. And folks, now I gotta say, we're in a game 5 scenario. And one thing that I'm so glad we're in a best of 5 rather than best of 3 is that we wouldn't have been able to see these last 2 matches to begin with if it was still a best of 3, because Blanks won the first 2 games. This would have gone on to the set 2 Blanks, and we would have just moved on without seeing the remainder of that. So now Game 5, out of that hectic Rainmaker game, Tower Control Inkblock Art Academy, I'm very much like, what's the crazy that happens now?
It feels like our momentum has shifted so much from the dominance that Blanks showed at the beginning of this set, but that does mean that we know that they have it in them. Ooh, more swaps. So we're gonna see the custom blaster come out on both sides now. Multi switching to the Tetra Dualies and Zane going out here on the T-Tech. Very split up opening from Blanks. As you can see, we have Multi and Zane going off, and it pays off as Zane gets one pick, gets two. That is Soul World down, and so Blanks very quickly going to hop onto that tower. I mean, tower control was their element in that first match, and it looks like we're going to loop back around to it, at least in this opening here, as we're already at that first checkpoint and down in the first 30 seconds. Bats is under control. Plat is under control. Look at how much purple ink is on right now. Zane has popped that flow aura. Benji getting the splashdowns off, going down themselves, but still getting the pick off of that this way from Soul World, because yeah, there is a lot going on in Bats here as it is fully under control, and the heavy edit just gets to chill out and sit down. Multi going with another jump. The strikes getting popped up. We're already at that third checkpoint in the first minute of this match, folks. Finally, Hobna on that heavy edit goes down. Benny also going down. Zane, there's a couple more points on that tower. Multi, that is a delayed wipe, but this is the Blanks that we saw at the very beginning of our set. This is it. And there, I mean, I say this is it. It's still it, as Ben still having a presence here, parrying that Splat Bomb beautifully, going into the 10 shield of Anchor, and somehow staying alive for longer than immediately dying. And still, the tower has not fully reset back to mid and is sitting at about this first checkpoint location. Soul World not finding the pick there. Tower slowly resetting back, but mid is still fully under control of Blanks.
I mean, just coming out swinging, Blank shows that they're not messing around, dropping the inhibitor rings that were the double dualies. Now, something more streamlined, something more in line with what you typically would see in a quote-unquote meta comp. Blank just shows the absolute prowess they can actually start swinging with. And even though they are 2 down, the damage has been done already. 19 points remaining on tower control. That's nothing to laugh on, especially on this stage. And Blank's just not letting it go, immediately moving in against Gig to reclaim the tower, get a wipeout on Gig, moving up to tank or at least contest Bats here on the incoming members of Gig. And now they're looking to potentially be able to try and close things out now here as Tactical is online. We do see Zuka is ready for Gig to be able to slow down this push at least a little bit, but the strikes coming out on the side of Gig means that that tower is being forced out, and now Blanks is being forced to back up at least a little bit.
Lose the heavy edit, who I think might have fallen off the map there, unfortunately. We do have Benny popping the splashdown as they're hanging out in the left-hand ramp, opting to get the jump out here. Zane trying to get something cheeky done on the side. Benny is able to get the follow-up, but that's 2 for 1. Not the best trade-off for Blanks there. However, Multi is still doing a funny shark here. Hello? How did they not find them? But I mean, what? I swear, that shield opened right on top of them, and somehow they didn't get all 6 strikes coming out here at the same time from both teams, as some points on the board getting to that first checkpoint as the Tactical comes out for Blanks. We have the Zuka. Oh, but a nice bomb pick coming out here. Multi able to contest Bats here. Take down Soul World mid splashdown. They really know that Bats are so important. Another pick as allows them to pop Flow Aura, making Zekrom back off here. Finally going down to Soul World, who also goes down. It is now Zekrom only one Bat alive on that. Pencil being the last member standing. They have to back out, and Tactical comes out for Blanks. They are again in their element.
Yeah, and now as we enter the final minute of this game, Tactical is online for Blanks. They can leverage that here, but honestly, at this point, you don't even need to go in the aggression here. You could just stall it out for the remainder of this game and be the ones that still come out on top here. Ringside is being thrown here to try and disrupt Gig at least a little bit, but it doesn't turn to be too impactful here. Benny here with a splash on, potentially here, Gig 2 for the special, for 2 for 1 special. They're completely shutting down, breaking up Gig's potential offense here, as now we see Multi going on defense and trying to harass the remaining players of Gig before unfortunately going down. And now Blank's looking to try to at least keep the status quo here, keep Gig in check as we head into the final 30 seconds of this game.
Doing everything they can, but Gig is looking great right now, popping the strikes, forcing Multi to back off and getting the pick. Multi goes down on the tower, but he's taken out. Benny also dropping onto the tower. does get the pick. That is absolutely huge for Blanks in our last portion of the set. We do have Flow Aura for the T-Tech as they get onto the multi is somehow behind the tower, gets the pick on Soul World, goes down themselves, but they've done the job that the Tetris needs to do because that tower is almost all the way back at mid, so the momentum has been lost. These strikes, GG strikes going out on the tower from both teams. They take out Zekrom, meaning no more support, meaning the T-Tech has to fall back, going down. Soul World doing everything it can, but cannot get to that tower in time. Blanks coming out swinging in their home turf of tower control to take this game 5.
I mean, what a showing from Blanks here. They just absolutely locked in here on this game 5, knowing exactly what was going to be on the line and did not want to let it go. And they just absolutely just ran away with this game, especially with that wild heavy swing. That was 19 points remaining on their first opening push.
Yes, that was incredible. That I mean, like I said, I think that's exactly what we saw at the beginning of Haggle Tower, pretty much. And I think we know what mode they're strong on here. It makes a lot of sense, though. They play really well around that heavy edit, who you can see is just chilling out. And as a heavy edit player myself, that's exactly what you like to see. We have, speaking of heavy edit, actually, we've got another donation, $15 from Bruvik, who says, charge hold for heavy edit when?
No.
Please, you promise? Please, Nintendo, do you hear me? Charge hold for heavy edit?
Oh, that's crazy, man. No.
Oh, it would be so beautiful. Can you imagine living in a beautiful world? No, it would actually be terrible. But, you know, I very often find myself on the preferable end of these terrible things, as at the end of Splatoon 2's life cycle, I was a custom jet squelcher player, and so I was the one behind the Stingray that everybody hated. So, you know, I wouldn't mind another chance as operator of machine everyone dislikes, but I can understand it wouldn't be great for the state of the game. However, I think you have a great mind. I would love to see that. Let's take a look at our bracket here.
Yeah, no, as we are moving on with the remainder of this bracket here, we're seeing exactly how things are leading up. And yeah, there's the bracket I recognize here. The other side of semifinals is still underway, or has already kicked off here, which I do believe our next set is going to be the first set of semifinals here with Bread and Blanks, if I'm correct on that.
Yes,
but,
it looks like it.
Yeah, no, we see exactly how things have been shaking up so far for the remainder of the bracket.
Oh, I like it, at the bottom of round 2 there, I like the team name RW/3. Is that it looks like a, actually it might not be, but I interpret that as a reference to the random weapon command on the spike bot /RW3, but I could be very wrong about that. So if I am wrong about that, I apologize. If I am right about it being random weapons, more power to you guys, I suppose. We're looking at the bottom set of losers bracket here. So if you guys do remember, we saw GDM on stream earlier. Unfortunately, they are gone here. Looks like Gig and Eclipse actually are set to fight each other at round 4 here.
It's been a very interesting showing there on that end, and yeah, we do see it. Unfortunately, the few who have been eliminated already, it happens no matter what the outcome is. Someone has to go home first, you know. So, unfortunately, that some of these players have already left already. But name of the game, you know, someone does have to leave. But no,
there's some great team names here. One of the teams that has been eliminated is called We Deleted Guwapa for Charity.
Yeah, I was looking at that the free.
And the icon is Guwapa with a big, you know, cross over it. So I'm not sure what Guwapa did to deserve this, but if it's for charity, I guess, well, at least it supports a good cause, you know. Speaking of supporting a good cause, ! Donate. Remember that we are still on that donation match train for a cumulative $250. So if you want your donation to have double the impact, get them in now. We are supporting Gamers Outreach. They are a wonderful organization with a wonderful mission.
No, always donate if you can, as you can, when you can. And I think right now with that last donation as well, we're sitting at 110 on that donation match. So again, plenty more to still give to get that double the efficiency for your own donation. But folks, we are moving on here to winners semifinals here. Red versus Blanks, as we did discuss already here. But one thing to note here, we are still in the best of 5, of course, but this time at this point moving forward, we are going to be seeking counter picks for the remainder of this series. Of course, starting off with one map mode that we already know of at the very least, but after this first match, we'll be seeing what the losing team will be wanting to try and take these off to try and get a victory in their favor.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be starting off Splat Zones on Umami Runes. No huge surprises here, but after that, we get to speculate on what our losing team might want to go to.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
It might take a little bit longer of time, but it opens the door for some very interesting picks, especially when you have teams that are known. I mean, like, if Red, I don't know if Red has been paying attention, maybe they just decide to click on the sender or something like that, but we now know that Blanks is very strong on tower control, and so Red is not going to want to counterpick that. Conversely, Blanks might say, hey, if we're losing, if we're on the back foot here, we know what feels comfortable for us. We can go to that tower control on some place where we felt very good in that last set.
Yeah. No, it definitely, as we do see counterplays come in toward the ends of tournaments, it's always been a fascinating thing to see exactly what might be the reasonings team might want to try and play things out on certain map modes, you know? So it's always an interesting thing to discuss here. But at the very least, they still need to get through Zone's Umami Ruins, which I absolutely adore Zone's Umami, simply for the fact that it's a dual zone.
Yeah, I think it's a dual zone, and I don't know why it feels better to play than Undertow Spillway, which is, I feel like, the other dual zones map that we see once in a while. This one, I don't know what about it. I think just the domes are a great place to perch. I love how it doesn't feel like a constant rat race around the center. Like, there is a center point, but you can get over it, and playing on that top mid feels great and is very important. Like, I play heavy ed and I play Splags, if you couldn't tell, if I hadn't mentioned it already. So being up there gives me a great vantage point of everything else that's going on, and I'm able to support my team on either side, or I can decide to play on the ground, and I get more of kind of like an alleyway point of view with like the split of the stage. I think it's great. There's a lot of different angles to play it from, and I think it's super fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always fun to watch as well, you know, because you oftentimes on this stage specifically, you see scenarios where both of the zones just keep constantly flipping back and forth over one and on back to the other. It's such an entertaining thing to see exactly how these teams want to try and actually solidify their zone hold on their own side of the map, or try and take the zone from the other side of the map, you know. And no, it's and as I'm sitting here thinking to myself, trying to see exactly what might be the game plan here, is I do wonder if Blanks, if they want to try and bring back the doubles dualies that we saw the last time they were on Umami Ruin at the very least.
That's true. I do think that especially those vanilla dually squelchers have a lot of potential. I think the range on those and the slidey rolls are something that can really be used well. I feel like dually squelchers are one of those weapons where it's like you don't see them very often, but when you do see them, like you see them. I know some people that are really, really attached to their dually squelchers. Of course, we've seen them swapped off, so it's not necessarily a one-trick thing here, but it's still very cool. All right, let's see how this works out. And of course, some very strong players here on the side of Bread as well. Ooh, we see a Forge Pro coming out from Bread here. Yoshel on that pencil as expected. And then on the side of Blanks, we actually see Zane on the Splash-O-Matic. So we're going to see some more crab tanks come out here.
Yeah, I like some of these picks from either side. You know, Forge Pro, not something you see too often due to it.
Yeah, especially with Frozen now.
Yeah, it's sort of outclassed by a lot of different weapons who fill in the same niche. But Brad, at the very least, is leveraging it to their advantage here, as they're already pushing Blanks back to the limit, taking 2 down, taking 3 down. That's the delayed wipeout on their side, and now Brad moving in quickly to try and take the space they need to stall Blanks out.
Yeah, these are some very strong players, and they are really setting an aggressive tone here. Already, we are at 50 remaining. The cooler comes out for blanks, but the oh my goodness, that rail being popped. We see the Booyah coming out here, forcing Zane to go all the way back. We do have the Zipcaster that has been popped. Unfortunately, it goes down before it can get too much value here. Soldier on the Slosher popping these tri-strikes. One of the zones does get neutralized. Ooh, Multi trying to do something with the Reef Slider, but unfortunately also getting shut down. Blanks, no matter what angle they take, just can't find a hold on the zones as Benny goes down to Yoshio on that pencil. And with the zones getting painted over, Multi again coming out trying to do something, anything but going down, picking up the cooler, and so they're able to come back very quickly. One last shot at the zone for Blanks as Hamna comes up onto the dome and tries to contest this right zone here. Gets the one pick, but can't get the neutralization quickly enough. Bread coming out very dominantly here.
Yeah, no, a quick and
I mean, look at
dominant
that. Look at the paint. Look at the paint patterns. It feels like the members of Bread, if they did go down, were just immediately jumping back into the fray.
Yeah, no, Brad knew exactly what their game plan was going to be, what exactly they wanted to play around with Blink specifically, and just executed perfectly. I don't know exactly what went wrong on Blank's side due to the fact that I just couldn't see them play long enough, you know?
It was a little bit of staggering, but also just I don't necessarily think it was any fault of their own. Bread was just able to get between the cracks and isolate those members as they were trying to go out here. Like, you saw the Booyah Bomb fully separated Zane from the support that they could have provided to Benny on that Octobrush by forcing them to back away. And Hobna here was trying to get something done and did get the pick there, but the combination of the sprinkler and all of that pressure from Yoshio on the pencil with two of their team members going down meant that they couldn't get things happening. Oh, this is no surprise to us. We are counterpicked to Tower Control on Hagglefish Market, one of the two tower maps that Blanks had a very, very good showing on last set. So hopefully they'll feel more at home here. They can take a breather, recollect themselves, and come into this with a clear mind.
Yeah, no, not shocking at all to see Towers Haggle being ripped right out the gate here. Blanks definitely wants to try and even the skills as quickly as they can so they can keep up to pace with Brad. Because, yeah, no, that first game, there was just too much staggering on their side to be able to pinpoint exactly what the faults were. So they're looking to try and do something more comfortable, something more familiar, something that they know they actually have seen a lot of success on. The Hagglefish Tower Control is definitely the pick I'd say would probably do them best here.
Yeah, I think also that Dominant Lockout is a little bit of quirk of Umami Runes as well, the way that it's structured. Once you have so much pressure, especially if the other team takes over kind of that dome and block area, it can get very difficult to break back out because you either have to go through that or you have to drop into the pit and then you're on the low ground. But we are no longer there. We are on Tower Control on Hagglefish Market. We are bringing back that Torrance Hydra. Let's go, baby! And of course, for the cooler, we are going to swap Multi to that Zap. So no more Tetras, no more, Hail Mary Reef Sliders. We are immediately seeing that cooler come out.
Yeah, no, pulling back to something with a lot more consistency these days, Blanks opting to try to go for more stability this time around here. And now two down on either side. It's a bit of a stalemate right now, so who can actually try and leverage things into their favor here. Tactical Lure is online for Blanks, so they can go on the advantage here to try and pressure and leverage it in their favor here. And that they do. Red does loses the pencil, which is a crucial tool on their side is Yahoo trying to aggress on the tower. The Booyah Bomb on the tower does stop that push to a halt, though.
Booyah Bomb and Bubbles, so I think maybe one or the other would have worked, but both is really, it feels a little bit like an overreaction, but I can definitely understand having a bubbled tower with a Hydra on it is really difficult. We have the 3 strikes stalling out that checkpoint, and the cooler out for Blanks as they try and get that tower back. The strikes actually coming out from Bread here, and the Booyah Bomb finding Multi. Benny going down in mid splashdown. Yoshio is able to stand on this tower and take checkpoint 1 back. You can see Zane trying to get something done, but unfortunately gets called out by the rest of Bread there. So it is just another set of cycling here. The bubble going out, nicely timed for Bread. Blanks has one bubble of their own defensively from Hobna here on the Torrance Hydra Splatling, which I did worry about because it's a bit slower, but there's no reason to worry as they get a nice double there. I want to say I do worry a little bit about the matchup into Pen, just because if they peek at all, the Pen can so quickly take them out, but they've been using the geometry of the stage and all of the ledges and the shelter that they have very effectively, including the tower itself.
Yeah, no, it's something you gotta very much keep in mind with these weapon matchups at the very least as you're moving forward here. Pencil can absolutely just make hell for the Hydra Splatling, so it's very crucial you understand exactly what your limits are here. And now, Blake's looking to try to be the ones to even the scales at least a little bit here. Fresh checkways most likely to go uncontested here. There's not enough splashes online for Ben to be able to stop that push unless they just throw themselves here. But the issue here is that Benny's sitting under the ledge here, getting ready for Bread. Players from Bread to overstep just a little bit for them to be able to be punished, but they are punished in return here, and being able to toss the lead within the 1 point difference into trying to at least take the second checkpoint here, and unfortunately it does go down for Blanks as Bread is able to maintain control and stabilize things once again.
But crucial bubble from the Hydra there at the very end, allowing them just that amount of time to get halfway through the checkpoint. And if they're able to keep up the defense here, that could mean the difference between a loss and a victory, because Bread only just got right up to that checkpoint and wasn't able to start eating into the timer. We'll see how the last couple minutes of this game goes, though, as Bread is now the ones on the offense. Blanks is pushed back very far, actually, with... they lose the Hydra, and that is their best source of range. We have the strikes here, but that is only going to be a momentary deterrent. Multi using the strikes as cover, but getting caught out by the Booyah Bomb, and strikes of Bread's own coming out in combination with the bubble on the tower, which, speaking of, the lead is going to not flip.
Ooh.
Maybe flip a single point. There it does flip by just 1 point as Benny on that blaster gets another pick. The tower goes down, but we sit 35-34, and Yoshi and Soldier are still maintaining presence around the tower. Soldier finally getting the squid roll underneath that canopy there, opting to threaten Zane Jirachi here with that. Booyah Bomb, again, nicely placed, just forcing the members of Blanks to move around to scatter, getting another pick on Benny, being finally past the second checkpoint, another pick from Jirachi, make that 3 before they finally go down.
Yeah, I mean, Brad is playing everything in their cards, everything in their sleeves to just keep this tower in this possession, to try to squeeze as many points as they can to make a solid lead extension on their side. And with 40 points remaining on this, 40 seconds remaining in this game, folks, Brad now is forced to back up at least a little bit, allow Blanks to get the resources so they can be ready for this incoming push here as we get closer and closer to an overtime scenario. Strikes is online for Blanks to be able to try and flush out the tower on their side, and they are down one player, crucially the blaster, which could be devastating here if they don't play their cards right, as Brad is just desperately trying to keep this tower in place. We do see the splash down coming out, but does not find much in anything, and is immediately punished by a pick of their own. The tower is in Blake's control right now. They're looking to try and get a potential overtime victory on their side, but the Booyah Bomb comes out. There's not enough players around to try and secure the tower in their name, and Brad is able to secure this second game.
Oh, man. I mean, that aggressive hold that Bread had at the end there, just keeping the tower fully in the territory of Blanks, not letting them get any aggression on the board or break out at all. I mean, you can still see all of that orange paint that is extends so far into the map. Of course, Blanks... Great fight, great showing from them, and this definitely went a lot better for them than that first match. So I think that the tower counter pick was very smart. I do wonder how the switch to Hydra felt for them, just because it does seem like this is a map-dependent thing, and it did work out. I mean, that is a beautiful double from the Hydra spawning, but and the tools that it gives, especially that bubble for tower, makes a lot of sense. I wonder if we will continue to see a similar thing for them, just because, like, it did seem that is what has worked for them in this set and previous, even though that player is very strong on that heavy edit splatling as well. Like, what do you consider? I don't know of our specific counterpick rules here, so I don't know if we can see Blanks still go back to tower control if they want to.
unsure if they can, but it looks like they elected to go to Rainmaker until Spillway instead, which I don't know exactly what the reasoning is for this map mode specifically, but they have their own reasons if they want to try and potentially restabilize things here in this third game here. Because now Brett is sitting at match point here. They can very well move on to winners finals and try and just ride it out from that point onward. I know for a fact Blanks does not want to go down on this bracket at this point, or at any point at all, for that fact of the matter here. So as we head into game number 3, match point for Brett here, currently up 2-0 against Blanks. We're seeing exactly what's going to be happening this game around, what's going to be brought out this time around as well.
Right. I don't believe that's any changes on the side of Bread. We are going to see the switch to the heavy edit Splatling. You see the Tetras are still here, that custom blaster, and Zane switching to that vanilla opening gambit, actually, vanilla splatter shot there. So more Izukas coming out here, but more importantly, more aggression. Zane is going to want to get that pick in the first 30 seconds of this game to make that opening gambit count. We will see. Unfortunately, they lose it. That is not what you want to see here. Multi all the way over on that left side there. Meanwhile, so they're actually behind Jirachi on this Rainmaker here. They are able to pincer and take out that Rainmaker before too much damage is done.
Yeah, and a good rearrangement from Blanks here to really try and get Brett off staggered here to be able to get themselves in a position to pick up the Rainmaker here and potentially get some semblance of points here. Brett was able to at least get a few points on their side, but it's minimal points at this point, and with this state specifically, that you might as well not pick it up at the very least here. And now we do see both teams just dueling it out now here over this Rainmaker to try and be the ones to pick it up, try to be the ones who can get control over it. Jirachi goes and makes the square roll to get it out here and looking to just make a breakaway for the checkpoint here, but is unfortunately stopped as Blanks acting quickly goes in and shuts that push down.
Yeah, all 3 members of Blank's present firing frantically on that Rainmaker. Soldier has taken a path all the way up to the left there. It looks like he got a pick. Humna is watching over this Rainmaker to make sure no funny business happens. And Jirachi looks like they considered it, but decided against it in the end. We are still going to see Bread push up this left side as that Rainmaker is reset, but everyone is there is going to get popped very quickly. The strikes are at the ready as well. That is, are we considering taking the right route? Is that what's going on here? Are we doing a funny? Zane all the way on that left hand there. Meanwhile, the rest of Bread is directing their attention to Multi on this re-slider who gets 2. Absolutely huge. Ready coming in. That is a full wipeout with the 2 specials pop there, and that means that Blanks is going to run that directly down onto that right checkpoint. Efficiency is key for them there, and they are the leader now. Oh, Zane making that jump right over the bomb that was thrown there to take it all the way down to 47.
Yeah, no, I like this call from Blanks, recognizing that they need to get as many points as they can, as quickly as they can. So often to not only get that right route, a right checkpoint taken now, but also picking up the Rainmaker to just throw yourselves further even a little bit more to just get those points quickly. I think it was a good call on their end to try and establish a lead of some kind. And now both teams are down 2 players down. Blanks still has majority control here in mid here, picking up the Rainmaker again. Now with that stability of that lead on their side, they're opting to go on the left-hand side now. Something that's a bit more safer, something that's a bit more comfortable for them, but is unfortunately shut down by Brett, who is able to come in and be able to pick off Blank's players one by one, now looking to try and get the push of their own going.
That is a nice direct there coming out from Yaho. Jirachi also painting up on this right side here, and now it is Bread's turn to make another push. Soldier in control of that Rainmaker. Multi trying to get a flank there, but it does not quite work. The bubble coming out. Benny is also there. So much firing. The Booyah Bomb comes out, but a little late, and the cooler is here, but the Inkzuka is also here. That checkpoint finally breaks for Bread.
No, it didn't!
Oh, it did not break! So even with everything that's being thrown, it still did not go through. Okay, finally there it breaks for them, and Soldier has a large path painted. Multi is the last line of defense. Oh, Jirachi though managing to squeeze through and get that lead by just 3 points, and Blank's Bread still having a great presence here. Pop is saying, I have one job, and it is to stand here and pop Rainmaker shield, and getting it very much felt there. Does mean no cooler for the time being, but they're able to get the Rainmaker outside of that precarious position for them there. Actually all the way up on this glass right now, trying to find some safety from everything being thrown at them. There's going to be forced forward by the combination of the Rainmaker free zone and the strikes that almost picked them off. the bomb somehow still staying alive. They have some plot armor with that Rainmaker. I don't know what it is, but they managed to keep it alive for all this time. It is still up in that kind of awkward little corner up there. The bubble coming out here, but Zane inside the enemy bubble trying to come and get that out. Just barely managing to survive. Has the Zuka here, but also very low on health, so opting to jump back out. 30 seconds left in this match. Hand blanks make it work.
It's hard to say. There's a 3-point differential, so all it takes is one solid push to really flip the script and get things back under your control here. But Blanks is unfortunately losing players one by one, left and right. Brad not knowing the checkmate scenario, knowing the win condition, not even opting just to pick it up. Their objective here is to not try and get a knockout. Their objective here is just deny Blanks from being able to pick up this Rainmaker with 5 seconds remaining on this clock here, folks. They're going to pop that Rainmaker, get a wipeout, and be able to take this clean 3-0 over Blanks, meaning they will be moving on to winners finals.
Wow, I mean, Blanks put everything they had into this set, and I don't think that 3-0 tells the whole story, especially not of this last match here with that 3-point difference. So although they are going down to that losers bracket, I have great faith that they will be able to make a run and perhaps even force some sort of rematch here, depending on how the rest of the bracket goes. But that was a lovely set, and that wraps up our winners semis. So we will be continuing on to winners finals. However, it is not us that will be continuing on to winners finals. In fact, as we are going to hand the mic over to our lovely folks over at IPL Splatoon. But before we send all y'all over there to say hi to them, I just want to give a huge shout out to Jorian, who is our wonderful producer. Stream would not happen without him, so thank you so much for all the work that you do, and thank you, Dark, for being my lovely co-commentator. It was a blast today.
It's always the pleasure. The pleasure is mine to be able to work with you, work with anyone here. And of course, folks, donate as you can. I do believe even though this stream is ending and moving over to IPL as a primary, that donation match is still going to be live, which we haven't had any donations since then. So we're still sitting at like 140 of the remaining monies to be able to double it out. So go ahead and donate with exclamation donate as you can, when you can, and where you can. But I do believe that wraps us up here, folks. So as we're closing out, anything you want to say, add or plug in, Cater, before we say goodbye?
You can find me at cater.inkling.social, and I guess, yeah, donate to a wonderful cause. Again, we still got the donation match going. What about you, Dark?
SPF Dark is my socials. You'll find me anywhere and anywhere on the mic. Don't Flounder the Function, that's coming up in 2 weeks. Sign-ups are still on live for that, so register if you're in the area, North Carolina, by the way. But that does wrap things up, folks. What a great honor, what a great pleasure, what a good cause, folks. We'll be rating IPL, so don't go anywhere just yet. Stay tuned.